Welcome to Universal Talk, a podcast to equip you with the positive thinking and attitude you need to reach your highest potential and live the life you want. And now, here's your host, spiritual teacher, clairvoyant, author, and energy practitioner, Anna Simon.
Hello, Anna.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Tonight we're live, actually, in Rhode Island. I'm getting ready for my Wonderful Angel Seminar. I'm here with Annabelle, and we are here to bring in wonderful guests, wonderful people with abilities to help awaken an awareness. As we say, we are getting everyone together, especially with dimensions of light forming. I want to start the show off before, like normal, I bring in the angels. So give it a minute. Everyone close your eyes. Visualize the white light of protection around you as the universe brings down the purple ray. We ask the four corners of the earth, air, water, fire, which are Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel, to come in and protect the show, and that we are blessed with many, many, many listeners that want to learn a lot. And welcome once again as we bring in the information and the energy of the higher alchemy. And I want to welcome Bill Bean. Hi, Bill.
Hello, Anna. Thank you very much. Hello, Annabelle. And I want to thank you both for having me on. It's a real honor and a pleasure to be on with you.
It's our pleasure. We're very excited to have you with us.
Oh, definitely. It is an honor to have you with us with your experiences. And a lot of listeners want to know about the paranormal and how it does exist to have hauntings in homes. And they just got to know from someone real like yourself how your life story was and how did it begin. Because you're actually also an indigo child, and this is the energy of protection that is all around you. Well, so once again, can you inform us of your story and how did this came to be, this beautiful Dark Force book?
Well, it actually began in 1970 when my family moved into a house located in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And things started a couple days after we had moved in. My mother was the first to experience. She was unpacking boxes, and my father had taken us. Now, I have an older sister who was 13 at the time. I was 4 years old when we moved into the house, and I have a younger brother who was 1 at the time. And my father had taken us to his parents' house for the day and to leave my mother alone and let her unpack and organize. And as she was doing this, she felt a presence. And she really thought that it was my father sneaking back into the house to scare her. So she was going to wheel around and startle him. And when she did, there was nothing there.
Wow.
And she took a few moments and collected herself and then went back to what she was doing. And shortly after that, one of the bedroom doors slammed shut. And that was enough to make her go outside.
Yes. That was enough for anyone. As I experienced that when I was a child, it freaked me out. As an adult, I understood what it was. But where were you at this? This is before you, or were you there?
I was not present when that took place. I was with my father. My younger brother and I and my older sister, we were with my father and visiting his parents. So she was alone in the house when this happened. But it was enough to make her go outside, and then when we returned, my father, he kind of made fun of it in a way and just said that she got spooked, because she was in the house by herself. My father was a very tough man. He was a good man. He was a good family man. He was a hard worker, and he really tried to downplay all of this in the beginning. He knew that things were really happening, but he didn't want to frighten my mother any more than she was, and they did their best to try and keep things from us as well until we started experiencing things for ourselves.
What was the history behind the home?
Now, to my knowledge at the time, I didn't know anything. I can just recall being 4 years old, and my sister will attest to this as well, that we were both unnerved and frightened just at the sight of the home, and when we first entered, it just had an ominous feel.
It had like a darkness, like an energy,
absolutely,
correct?
Very
because
negative.
when I go, as we say, to investigate energies of homes, to heal the homes, as I do, when it's possessed, as we call it, with the negative energy. We'll call it for sakes that. You know, you see it and you could just sense the energy of the home right away.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to cross into the doorway, and when you do, you kind of feel sick.
That's absolutely correct, yeah. Now, years later, after the fact, a friend of mine did some research on the area, and according to his research, there is a structure located about 2 miles south of the house, and it's called the Wishing Rock. And this is a gigantic boulder-like structure that seems to be placed there. It doesn't match with any of the other landscape. And according to his research, several Indian tribes used to gather at this place, stating that it had supernatural powers. And yeah, so I believe that this all stems from that area. This whole area could be a vortex that stems from this Wishing Rock structure, because many of the other houses as well have had paranormal and bizarre happenings in the area over the years. Nothing to the degree that we endured and suffered through, but nonetheless, definitely bizarre occurrences. And since my story has come out, I've been contacted by many people in the area stating that they either had problems in their home while they lived there, or they are currently having problems in their homes. So,
well, you know what I believe, Bill, not to interrupt you, but I'm sorry, the Angels channel, as I see it as energy of the Indians and the fighting, and, the fighting is just despair and negative energy that is left during times, and that tends to, they didn't have closure, so the energy's still ruffled, as we call it.
Yeah.
And they don't like to be disturbed on that. And it's not your fault that they built a home over this land, kind of thing. But I feel that it's just a lot
I would have to agree with you on that, Anna. I tell you, it's now here's something even more bizarre. It's a combination of what you said, and I believe that to be true, along with I believe something actually attached in my mother's younger years to her, and for whatever reasons, I believe actually led us to this place where this evil could truly manifest, because I'll tell you, it really destroyed our family. And I've lost 3 family members, including my mother, in sudden deaths. And we've lost several family members over the years, but the 3 that I could directly attribute this activity to would be my grandmother and my mother and my father. So it's just very tragic. The first documented case for me actually occurred a year before we moved in the house. 1969, there was a photograph taken of me, and I'll send you this photograph.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a photograph of a child, which was me at 3 years old, and other beings show up in this photograph, and several behind me in single file. There is also many beings to the left and to the right of me, and several different types of beings. And so something occurred there. And again, it's probably like you said, it had something to do with me possibly being prepared for this very thing. I don't know, but it's just very bizarre that this happened to me a year before we even moved into the house.
Well, you know what? And this is the whole thing. You are the strong energy of the family, as the angels are showing, and there is a lot of growth in your spirituality, as you can tell now. But back then, when did it start getting immensely stronger with problems in the house? When did it start hitting the peak?
It was a gradual process. My mother even named it Henry, the friendly ghost, in the beginning. It was just these noises, and they tried to make light of it in the beginning, and then it escalated into physical attacks. My sister was the first one to actually feel the entity. She was in bed asleep in the middle of the night, and she was awakened by something. She couldn't see it, but she knew something was there, and she got really scared, and she was going to get out of bed to get my parents, and something grabbed her leg, And thank God for her, she was able to scream out for my parents, and they came racing into the room, so that stopped the attack. But she did have marks on her leg, and she was terrified. And so she was the first to experience that. And then less than a year later, I was attacked in a similar fashion. Again, asleep in my bed, something woke me up. I knew something was there. I couldn't see it. I tried to get out of bed to get my parents, and a force grabbed me and slammed me back to my bed, and I was pinned on my back, and I felt like I was paralyzed. Nothing would work. I tried to scream out for my parents. My mouth wouldn't even work. The only thing that was working were my eyes. And this horrible event seemed like it lasted for hours. I'm sure it was only several minutes. But a combination of things happened during this experience, and the culmination of the experience was a lady materializing at the foot of my bed. And I believe to this day that this lady was an angel, and she was there protecting me, because as she manifested, this horrible experience stopped. And I'll tell you, Anna, this was so traumatic. I'm getting chills as I go back and relive it. Just imagine a child at 5 years old having to endure this type of trauma. I mean, no one should have to endure this, let alone a child at 5 years old. And,
yeah.
You know, it just gives me the chills going back to it. But as the lady manifested, the horrible things that were happening stopped. And she just had a look about her. She was actually comforting me. And she had a gaze and a smile. And she was a beautiful lady with long blonde hair. And she had a glowing gown, which I want to say probably white or light blue. And she just stood there for probably several seconds, gazing at me. And then she just turned and floated up through the ceiling. Now, the kicker of the whole incident is the lady looked exactly like my mother.
Oh, yeah, they kind of play tricks on that. They could use that image. I had that experience when I was a teenager, so of an entity looking like my grandmother, and it was not. They just kind of formed the identity of that energy to manipulate the situation to look like that.
Well, I tell you,
little trickster, as we call it.
Absolutely. Well, over the years, we all saw this lady several times, including my mother. You know, I've said it many times. Can you imagine seeing an entity manifest that looks exactly like you? It's just
it could be a little freaky. It's like, I don't have a twin that's dead, do I? No. No. That could be very hard. What was how can I say this without? How old were you when it hit? Because I know when things started happening to me, I was in a little girl, and then I went to the preteens, and then everything started manifesting.
Yeah, well, I was 5 years old when that experience happened, and I had that experience many times over the years, and my mother suffered the brunt of the abuse, though. She suffered more than any other person I've ever seen in my life. Now, during this period, my sister, by 1973, my sister had run away in the middle of the night, and she got married to a young man in the neighborhood. She just had to get out of there. She couldn't take it anymore.
Wow, yeah.
And she stated on the television show, A Haunting segment that aired about my family, she stated that she would have married anyone just to get out of there. And after she left, the family really started deteriorating. My father's character totally changed. His demeanor changed from a hardworking man and a good family man to a man that was just the polar opposite. Started drinking very heavy, staying out quite a bit, and then he actually started physically abusing my mother from 1973 to 1975 and nearly killed her on several occasions.
Oh, no.
And he left us in 1975, and thank God he did, because had he stayed, I truly believe he would have killed my mother.
That is so terrible. You've been through all that.
Yeah, and I believe, Anna, that during his drunken stupors, that I wholeheartedly believe that these evil entities were able to somehow take hold of him and
oh yeah,
drive
definitely.
him to do these things.
Well, definitely. They kind of choose the weak. Not that they were saying your dad's, weak. But at the time when you're down in low energy and you're not in the high vibration, this is what I teach people to be in the high vibration to protect themselves. They come in and use their weaknesses to manipulate the situations.
Absolutely
to get them
right.
to do certain things. And unfortunately, your father at the time was at his low peak, and so they kind of entered that energy field. As your mom, what I pick up with your mother is that she was a natural high medium, and she just didn't know how to handle her abilities. So they played on that energy a lot, pulled towards your mother, victimized her more on that level because they actually wanted her to, communicate. She just didn't know how. It wasn't her fault. She didn't know about the mediumship back then.
So this absolutely did stem back to her childhood then, and she'd probably been tortured like that since her younger years.
Yes, and that is very sad to hear. But let's take a pause here, and I want to have callers call in that has a similar situation. I want to talk to Bill Bean here. You guys could call in or ask me and Bill Bean any paranormal questions, medium questions, at area code 646-595-4484. That is area code 646-595-4484. Call in and ask us questions. We'll love to help you. That's what we're here for, is to answer everyone's questions. If you had anything similar happen to you, I'm pretty sure Bill will love to answer your questions. Right, Bill?
Absolutely.
And you guys could call now if you choose to. But continuing with your story, I think your mom was a very high medium and didn't understand.
Yeah, I found some old family photographs of her, Anna. My sister had them for years, and she gave me these photographs, I believe, either last Christmas or the Christmas before. And I had no idea. I hadn't seen these photographs. And I'm going to send you over some photographs when I get a chance of her that really had some bizarre activity in the photos with her. So I have no doubt that something was going on back then.
I think that would be good. Please send them, because we'll post them on dimensionsoflight.com. Because we got everything there to help everyone. It's a spiritual and world peace website where everyone could come together and help one another with all abilities.
Fantastic.
And we got everything to post videos and pictures and everything in that. I'm pretty sure other people would love to see your pictures and give you comments on that.
And so that's what my whole mission is to present my story, and I'm praying that there are people out there that will receive this and say, hey, contact me and say, how in the world did you make it through this? And then I'll share my testament of faith. And I really want to network with people like yourself and create a national network to where we can reach out and really help these people, and thousands of people I'm hoping that we can help and make a difference in their lives.
Oh, definitely. I'm here to help, and I am the same mission that you are. That's why when I require guests to come in, they have to have a mission, a spiritual mission to help the, humanity. That's why me, Annabelle, and Renee created, Dimensions of Light.
Well, that's
because that is a spiritual community where people could come in and talk about their experience, post, help one another. There's sponsors for healing, all kinds of things. It's just growing like crazy. And that's why I said you have to come in and tell your story, because I know there's people out there that have had this happen to them, and they're very quiet about it because, they're afraid to speak their mind.
And that's how it was with us. My mother was a very proud and private woman, and when you come under these type of attacks, you get so mentally beaten down, you become isolated, you cannot relay this information to anyone outside of the only one who really knew what was going on. The only two really were my grandmother, which is my mother's mother, and her sister. She talked to them the most, and I overheard a lot of those conversations, so that's how I got a lot of my information that I personally didn't experience. And my mother did not want, she wanted as little, as people as possible to know about this. She just really tried to hide it. Eventually, some of my close friends did find out about it, and some of them had actual attacks in there. They were actually attacked, and other family members did find out. But there for a while, it was just very tight-lipped, and my mother was very embarrassed and ashamed of it.
One of the things that I think about when I listen to you and think about what happened to your dad and what your mom was going through and the whole fear of talking about it is imagine, the kind of foundation that they grew up with, depending on what your religious background turned out to be. But I can think that for your father, it must have been a total shake of what he must have believed in and his whole foundation of what he thought was. And to have all of this experience come to you guys, it probably shook his core.
It sure did. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And then your mom having these amazing abilities and still having that strict foundation of where she came from, probably fighting with herself, trying to think, how is this possible? How is this happening when this is not what I've been taught or what I even believe in? And definitely they knew her power and focused on her because they didn't want her to come out of that fear.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah, it's just so tragic, and I just wish that I was the, boy back then, that the man I am now. I wish I had that kind of power. At one point, when I was 13 years old in 1979, I actually did challenge these entities, and they did appear before me. And so that, I believe, at that time, I believe God was preparing me for something more significant, and did. As we go into the program, I'll share something else with you that occurred in 1988. But I believe God has really prepared me to be a warrior against this kind of stuff, and to really reach out and help others. So I believe that experience in 1975 was some sort of preparation.
Right. And I do believe that by helping others that are going through the situation, like what you've gone through, in the end, you end up not only helping that person who's going through this, but also that spirit as well that has been so shaken and still hanging around because of what they've been through when they were in the actual physical realm that we exist in at this time. So I think that you're helping them as well in some level, maybe to move on.
Well, I'll tell you, that's certainly my mission, is just to heal and help everything. And if we can heal everything with God's blessing and power and in the light, and that's what I'm all about, and that's really what I am hoping to do for many, many people.
And you're actually going to do it. I let Anna, I'm hear Annabelle speak, and I'm all feeling your energy, and your purpose is so grand. And I know there's people out there listening, and they don't need to be shy. You guys could call in and even ask, me some paranormal questions or things, and ask, Bill questions. It's okay. We're here to answer questions for you. So please, call in at area code 646-595-4484 and come and talk to us, and feel free to ask anything you like. It's just powerful. There's so many coming onto the chat room, so many people, and they're talking about it. And, some people are trying to call in, but that's okay, because listening and giving that energy and that feel of what you've been through, and you came out great.
Well, I'm just so thankful. I really am. I am just so blessed and so thankful, because I'll tell you, I've had some bouts in my life to where I wasn't so okay. And to be quite frank with you, after the death of my mother and my grandmother, I really didn't care if I lived or died, to be quite honest. So I had a black period to where my heart really went cold and black, and I just didn't care. So I believe God worked a miracle.
You know what, Bill? We all been through that. It makes as a light worker, I've experienced my son almost dying, shaken by his father, his hands of his father.
My.
He'll never walk again, but he's a loving being. He was here for a purpose. He got me on my path. I totally relate to you and other people out there. I understand. But you know what? That makes us stronger. Those times, that just gives us strength for we could say, hey, if we came out of it, so can you. You know what I mean? That's why you wrote the book, for you could help other people with experience and say, hey, this stuff's real. It's not a figment of nobody's imagination. It happens to people, and that's why we write books.
it was so tough to write it. It was very, very tough to sit down and dredge it all up again and to articulate it into a story. And it was just super tough. But I'll tell you, by the time it was over with, I felt lighter. It was like a soul cleansing, and I say that in the book. It was definitely like a soul cleansing for me.
It was what I'm getting from the angels, a release.
Yes.
A healing, a release.
Absolutely.
Knowing that this is what grades you to the strength that you are, and that you survived.
Amen. And my second book, which I'll begin work on soon, will cover the plethora of experiences I've had since we left that house in 1980 and to present. And I'm just so happy to say that the majority of my experiences now are divine, and I just feel like my wife and I are surrounded by angels at all times and protected from evil, and I'm so thankful for that. And I'm just ready to go forward with my mission.
And you are. You got Asked to Do Omega, right?
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of things. You did it. What they did a show on A&E about you. You've been accomplishing a lot of things.
And I know more great things are coming, and I am ready.
And you already, can you please tell all the listeners out there where they could purchase your book?
Absolutely. I guess I'll give you a couple easy options. The first would be Amazon.com. If you choose not to do that, then you can go to my website, www.billbean.net. Either way is whichever is easiest for the listener. Both ways are pretty easy, so you have two good options there, and I just hope and pray that many will read it and receive it well and get some type of blessing and help from it.
Oh, they will, and I will be adding it, Bill Bean's website to dimensionsoflight.com, which you can look at it on the links page, and in myspace.com/Aniel32.
Thank you so much, Anna.
And manifestingtruth.com. Yes, I got several. We're here to heal humanity, so we got to reach the world, as we say.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that.
No problem. But there's just a lot of people are asking a question I'm seeing on the chat room, and I think somebody had a question.
Okay.
Let me see here real quick. Someone in the chat room said, I used to feel my head rubbed in the same spot an uncle did when he rocked me. I am calm.
Well, I will let you answer that.
This is we're talking about Sassy Whisper here, and I asked a question on the chat room, has anybody had any similar experiences? And Sassy Whisper is talking about a sensation that she feels being rubbed in the same spot on her head as an uncle did when he used to rock her, and she has let me know that he has passed when she was 15 years old, and she feels calm when this happens. She feels a calm energy around her home right now. Maybe her uncle still comforting her.
Oh, it is her uncle comforting her. You're giving her a guide and strength. And when it's peace and love, and it's a sense of love, joy, energy that you feel, instead of fear, as we say, it's from the light. It's from love. It's from.
Amen.
It could be relatives. It could be angels. It's always love. But I pick up psychically that this is her uncle. They're guaranteeing that's her uncle, and that she just has to, say thank you. It's okay to be here. I appreciate it, and keep on blessing me, as we say, with your presence, because it's all from the white light. That love and peaceful energy. Let me tell you, listeners, if you feel the peace and the love from an energy, then it's not going to harm you. It's there for good. But when you feel like sick to your stomach, you don't want to step in a room, and you feel it cold, and you feel emptiness and sadness, then you need to have it blessed. You need to walk on the other way, or get that cleared out before living in that space.
Amen.
Because that dark thing could get you inside and get you sick, and try to suck the life force out of you, which was not good. And so that's good. We educate you. That's why we have these shows, to bring somebody like Bill Bean to come in and explain, what happened to him, what did he do, which he'll be telling you what he did and what happened at the end of the whole thing. But this is the whole purpose, is that to be educated on the paranormal, on the other side. This is why Bill Bean and people like us come in to educate you guys, to teach you, to call in, to participate, to, it's a community to help one another. And that's what we're doing, because you know what? If Bill Bean, he didn't have this knowledge back when he was a kid, and many didn't back then, and now it's growing and people are aware, and it's helping people become more balanced and blessed. Correct, Bill?
That is exactly correct. Yeah, we were powerless. We were helpless, and the family weakened, significantly more after my father left, and my mother started being attacked by the entities on a regular basis. After enduring 2 years of brutal physical attacks from my father, then she was physically attacked from the entities. So she just never got a break, and we were just totally helpless, to be quite honest.
Did you guys stay in the house, or what was the story to that?
We did stay in the house, and the reason we had to stay in the house is because when my dad left, unfortunately, he wasn't sending any money. And during this period, my mother became very sick. She had suffered a couple of strokes. She had high blood pressure, which started deteriorating her kidneys, and she was unable to work. So I'm ashamed to say that we were actually on social services at that time when my father had left, and we ended up losing the house. And the house was actually auctioned off in the front yard, and I vividly recall that day. And the gentleman that bought the house knew of my mother's circumstances and felt sorry for us, and he let us stay there as a pay as you can, when you can basis. And so that's why we stayed. My mother's mother begged us to move with her, but she lived in a one-bedroom apartment, and my mother would not burden her. My mother's sister had 8 children and a husband. She also asked us to move in with her, but again, my mother would not put that burden on them, so that is why we were stuck, and that's why we had to stay until 1980.
Well, how many were you?
At the time my father left, it was my younger brother and I and our mother.
Okay.
So, my sister was gone. She had left in 1973, and my father left us in 75. So it was down to 3 of us, and that's when the real horror began, especially with the attacks on my mother.
And how big was this home? Or describe the home for the listeners could have a visual.
Okay, the house was a modest 3-bedroom ranch-style house. It was actually in kind of a dilapidated condition when we first bought it, but my father was a master carpenter and just skilled at everything he did. It was such a tragedy with him because he was such a gifted man. He had everything. He really did. I mean, he was blessed with a tremendous personality and charisma, and he had these just incredible mechanical skills and carpentry abilities that was passed on to him from his father. And he really was successful at anything he set his mind to doing, but it's just amazing how fast his life turned for the worst, and it was just very, very tragic.
And when did the house get blessed, or when did you start did you ever see these entities? Or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got a priest involved. My step-grandfather was a Catholic, and we were not Catholic. And he got his priest to come to the house and bless the house, and it turned out that the priest was coming to the house quite a bit, and before it was over, the priest was actually involved for probably close to 1.5 years, and he was bringing mason jars full of holy water to the house, and he did instruct my mother to move. And as bizarre as it may sound, what I'm about to say, it's true, that these entities were somehow able to manipulate each one of us at different times and make us do uncharacteristic things. And I believe in my mother's case, it was almost like it was binding her to the house in a sense. As much as we wanted to leave and she wanted to leave, there was something that was holding her as well. And
oh, yeah.
It was just a horrible situation.
I heard of those instances where they do make you not want to leave and manipulate and make you feel, well, they do that because they want to feed off the life source.
And that's exactly what they were doing because, unfortunately, the priest really, with his visits, intensified the activity and really angered these things even more. So it got worse. And by the time it had all progressed, the best way I can describe it to everyone is we were like prisoners in a camp, totally just devoid of emotion. We were very much zombie-like and showed very little emotion towards each other. We were just so tired all the time. We hardly ever got any sleep. We were tormented constantly. Even if we weren't being physically attacked, we were always under mental strain and mental attack. So it was just a nightmarish situation that I would wish on no one.
Wow. And so when you were older, you said you were there till 1980?
That's correct, yeah. In 1979, I was 13 years old, and my brother and I had, when my father left us at 75, he moved to Florida. And during this period, from, I'll say, 1973 on, I hated my father. I'm sorry to say. I couldn't stand to look at him for the things that he had done to my mother and us. I loathed him. I couldn't. It's a horrible thing to say about your father, but it's true. And my brother and I went to visit him in 1979 in Florida. And during this visit, we had, my mom by this time had a boyfriend, and they had gone out for fireworks on July 4th, 1979. And we had a little black poodle at the house, and my mother left him in the backyard with my aunt's dog, which was a larger dog, a Keeshond, husky-looking dog. And the yard was fenced in, a 4-foot-high fence. The dog had never gotten out of the yard before. There wasn't even a gate there for the dog to get out, and he certainly couldn't have jumped the fence. So they returned from the fireworks show, and our dog was gone, and my aunt's dog was there, and my aunt's dog seemed traumatized. And they searched the area for our dog and could not find our dog. So they decided to go to bed and try and pick up the search the next morning. And when they woke up the next morning, they woke up to a horrifying sight. Hunks of black hair were sprinkled around my mother as she slept in bed. And they outlined her like you would chalkline, how they chalkline a corpse, a dead body. And can you imagine waking up to a sight like that?
No.
And the black dog hair was, it was a trail of it leading from the bed into the hallway and into the bathroom sink and up the hallway. And needless to say, we never saw our dog again. But these are some of the horrible displays and vulgar power that this force displayed.
Wow. Did you ever see the likeness, like an apparition of the energy?
Absolutely. Yes. So while we were in Florida while this happened. We returned from Florida, and my mother told us what happened, and we were naturally very upset. And during this, on this day, my mother was actually attacked, picked up by an unseen force, and thrown in the air across her bedroom and crashed into her makeup table, and she was cut open and bruised, and it was enough to send me over the edge. And so that's when I grabbed a Bible and a jar of the holy water, and I started calling these things out in the name of Jesus Christ. And it was like an earthquake had started in the house when I did this. Things were flying around, falling off the walls. Now, I was the only child there among 5 adults. And I was doing all the talking. The adults were terrified, and nobody was saying anything but me. And doors were slamming, opening and slamming. And I called them out again. And the second time I called them out in the name of Jesus Christ, they did manifest several feet in front of me. And 4 entities manifested. And they manifested in green beams of light. And one of the entities looked like an undertaker, an old-time undertaker, black hair, black beard, old-timey black suit. The eyes were black. Another one of the entities was a male that had short red hair, curly-like, clean-shaven with a scar down the side of his face. A third entity was a female with the look of a witch. She had long, dark hair, wore a black gown, and had sharp facial features. And then the fourth entity was what I call the dark force entity. It was a black form with no features except for a set of red eyes.
Oh, gee.
So I quickly saw them, and they did as well for several seconds, and then they just dematerialized, and when they did, the activity stopped in the house, and then we all left and went to my mother's fiance's house.
So that's when you moved out after that?
No, actually it wasn't. No, we just went there for the night, and we actually didn't leave until 1980, and the final straw was we got up one morning in 1980, December 1980, and every electrical appliance in the house was fried. Everything. Refrigerator, TV, every appliance that was electrical was gone. And I'll never forget the smell, just waking up to this burning smell, just burnt wires everywhere. And we also found my brother's pet guinea pig dead in its cage. And that's another thing that happened, Anna. During this whole time, we had several family pets that either went insane or mysteriously died during this whole period. And so this was finally enough to break whatever grip they had on my mother, because by this point, her fiance was begging her to move us in with him. And so this was the final straw, and we finally did. He came and got a truck, and we just took our personal items. We didn't even take much of the furniture or decor. We left most of that. We just took our clothes and some personal things, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it didn't stop for my mother. I thought that when we left there that we were free of it. And my brother and I didn't have any experiences at her fiance's house. However, I didn't find this out until about 6 months ago when I met with him and talked with him about this again. And he told me some things that I never knew. And my mother made him promise not to tell us that she was still being attacked, even in his house after we had moved. And She died 10 months after we moved out of the house. She died at the age of 44 of a cerebral hemorrhage.
Oh.
And she also died 2 months after the sudden death of her mother, who died of a sudden series of heart attacks.
Oh, no. That
so I have
really
no
hard.
doubt. Yeah, I have no doubt, Anna, that this force contributed to both of those deaths and even the death of my father. Neither of my parents lived to see the age of 50.
Oh, my God.
Hey, can I pose you guys a question? There is somebody on the line that is talking about some experiences that he had with paranormal activity in a home that he grew up in that was haunted. And he would fight with this spirit that he felt around the house in his dreams. And one of our other chat members is asking if that's considered a psychic attack. Anna, what do you think?
Actually, it is. It's contributed to psychic energy and the aura being broken. So they kind of vamp on that life source, as I was talking to Bill about it earlier. And they become vulnerable, and so as they sleep, sometimes that's why I teach people in, the courses and on the shows is to always protect yourself, the white light with the purple rays before you go to bed, just to keep your aura sealed and tightened. So these entities, while you're sleeping, you're vulnerable. So the aura doesn't, they don't crack into the cracks when you are down feeling depressed or sad. They like to come in at that peak of your life. And so, yes, it was a psychic attack. But the good thing is that you can immediately take care of that by putting yourself in the white light, asking, the universe from above to bring in the purple light with the Christ light, and it will vamp it into a sealed aura, and then they cannot drain you on that point because you ask them to leave with your strength, of your own high spirit and connection. They won't like that vibration, so they won't bug you no more. So that's. I hope I answered their question. I hope you learned that one too, Bill.
Yes, that was a very good answer. I agree 100%.
Yes, because that's how I always protect myself wherever I go. When I'm flying, like actually, Bill, today I'm on the plane with my husband, and we're coming to Rhode Island, Connecticut, for the Angel Seminar that's on Saturday. And before I get on the plane, I always close my eyes and visualize a big bowl of white light around the airplane with the purple ray with the Archangel Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel. And I always have a smooth flight. So I'll give everyone out there to do that before they go on their flight.
That's great advice, yes, absolutely.
And it's pretty funny because it always works, and we're supposed to have turbulence, and we really don't. And, coming to the East Coast with snow, you're supposed to have some buppies. But it didn't happen on that at all.
Oh,
and it was just smooth sailing. But everyone, don't be shy. Come talk to Bill. I know they're talking to you through the chat room via Annabelle, answering the question. They might be a little shy, Bill. But I'm pretty sure they'll be going to your website. Can you please give it out again, Bill, for the listeners?
Absolutely. It's www.billbean.net, and you can contact me through the site. There is something on there that'll say Contact Bill, and just click on that, and it'll go right to my email. So please feel free. I love getting emails, and I do answer every email, and I try to answer them as quickly as I possibly can.
Yes, and Bill is on my MySpace page on Top Friends. So if you go to myspace.com/Aniel32, you will find Bill on the front, and you can contact him that way. And on dimensionsoflight.com, which we'll be soon posting all the links.
You're going to see that on yours is going to be in my top as well. As soon as I get done the show, I'm planning on revamping that, and you will see Anna on mine as well in the top.
Oh, well, thank you. It's an honor to have you. And everyone that's listening, they're just learning so much from you, Bill, right now. They're talking. They're so happy and proud, and they're chatting. And, they just rather, chat. But there's tons of people listening out there. And I know I could feel the energy that they're like, wow, I'm not the only one out there that has these problems. What made you inspire? I can imagine what you inspired to do the book, We Understand Why. But when did that hit you? What age? And
I've wanted to do it for a long time, but I'd lost my way for many years after the deaths of my loved ones. And really, it wasn't until my wife came along to where she really helped me out a lot, just showing me the love that I couldn't even relate for so many years. It's so terrible to say, but it's true. I couldn't even relate to any type of loving environment for so long. Even when my mother was still with us, like I said before, it had gotten so bad that we were just really existing on a daily basis, and we couldn't even show each other any true love or anything like that. So I was empty for so very long. And so once that void was filled by my wife, I believe God came in and really started doing things with me as far as leading me on the right path. And then this inspiration came, and it's so weird. I always go by feel. I feel things in my spirit, and I believe God places things there. And I get these messages by feel and in my spirit, so I knew this was something that I had to do. No voice came to me and said, Bill, you have to do this. However, I felt as if something did and something is. There's no question that I am supposed to be doing this. And I'm answering that call.
And you are answering it very well. The book is, I feel the energy of the book is so excellent, and it's just not only telling about paranormal experience, how to help people, how to create strength. It's just a wonderful experience for people to go and read about it with you. And as I said, we're all connected. We're all here to help one another. And how did you, I can imagine how your wife felt when she met you, and when you told her this story, what was her reaction?
Yeah, it was quite startling for her. And when you read the second book, there's experiences in there that, unfortunately, she really has had some horrible experiences while being with me, and I'm thankful to say we don't have those experiences anymore, and we'll never have them again. But, yes, she's been through a lot of trauma with me over the years, and has been the brunt of some attacks that similar, not as bad, but similar, and maybe as bad or as worse than my mother suffered. I will have to privately consult with you on something that happened, because I don't want to.
Oh yes, we could do that later.
But yeah, she had suffered quite a bit as well, and I'm just happy to tell you that our life is so much better now. But
so you guys have, because when I met my husband, me and him had similar situations that happened to us, and that's how we connected and bonded, and being a twin flame with my husband. It just, we understood each other, and we're like, wow, we have so much in common. Kids, everything. It was just
Isn't that
amazing.
Yeah,
to have that click,
Yeah.
It's like a twin of yourself, what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and that's a great thing when that happens.
And it's a very great thing, but people, are going to go and get that book, because that book is special, and you're going to be writing one. Me and Annabelle are writing my book story, which will be out in a couple of months.
Well,
We're finishing up.
Be successful as well.
Yes, it's called Sacrificial Soul. So it's about my life story and how I came
I
to
love
be
the
a
title.
spiritual
Yeah,
teacher.
it grabs you right from the start.
It sure does, and as you and I are now new spiritual friends,
Absolutely.
Can you please tell everybody where your next appearance is, and where is the Omega going to be at?
Well, the first thing, next Wednesday, I'm having a press conference in Baltimore at the Baltimore Arena, and a dear friend of mine owns an indoor football team, the Baltimore Mariners, and he is sponsoring this press conference book release event for me. And
wow.
I will be speaking, and I'm going to be signing books, and I'll have books for sale there as well. And then in March, I was invited to be a guest speaker at the 2008 OmegaCon in Birmingham, Alabama. And that is a major event, and they're expecting 10,000 plus people at that event. And it is going to be a great, great thing. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very excited about it. And that's going to be from March 14th through the 16th.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So I am being led to some really fantastic things because, again, as troubling and as disturbing and as horrifying as these events are that we've talked about, there is something good coming out of this. I like to think of my book as much more than just a horror story. It is a testament of my faith. It is. It really has part of like a self-help. It has many different aspects that really I'm praying will reach many different people, many different types of people in need. And that's what the whole thing is about. And I'm really, really hopeful that this book and my work is going to be able to touch and help a lot of people.
Oh, and believe me, we'll spread the word. You sign up on dimensionsoflight.com. There's hundreds of people that need to read your book.
I certainly appreciate it.
Hundreds of thousands, as we say. I kind of overspeak my words sometimes. And
thousands, absolutely.
And so it would be great for someone like you to come in that's just a natural, human being that's been through all this. And just before we end the show, whatever happened at that house?
Now, since my A Haunting segment aired on Discovery Channel on September 7, 2006, and since that time, I've been contacted by many people in the area telling me that the current occupants of the house, now again, I don't know them, so I'm going on hearsay. I don't know that this is a fact. This is what I'm hearing.
Right.
The current occupants of the house are experiencing problems there. And according to one message I got, the lady of the house is mysteriously wheelchair bound now, and they don't know why. And the house actually was unoccupied for a very long period of time, and it has changed hands quite a bit over the years as well.
Well, you know, I'm led to just put this out there. When angels tell me to say something, I just say something. If they ever contact you and they need some clearing or healing, or because we could take care of that, then you contact me and I'll go do that.
I would appreciate that, Anna, and that would be
would help
that may
this
turn
huge
out. Yeah.
community. If, you know, I'll be glad to go over there and handle that. I do that a lot. That's why I travel and clear out houses and bring it to the peace of the spiritual teaching of energy with the angels and clear it out.
That would be
That's with love and light for them to go on the other side. Because I don't only work for the humans, I also work for the spirit. And so those souls that are lost, to get them and help them as well. It's helping both sides of the spectrum.
Well, that's wonderful work, and as you know, that area and that home certainly needs it.
So if you ever hear anything and they need something, then I'd be glad to go there and help.
I sure will. And, you know, me personally, I have not returned to the area.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And I have no desire to. But,
no, you don't need to.
if I would hear something like that, I'll certainly contact you.
And that would be it. It's a pleasure having you on my show. I'm pretty sure you'll be on many times. Our new video show and our new thing that we're doing on diventionsoflight.com, but it was such a pleasure to have you on. I know we only have 3 minutes left to the show. I want to thank all my listeners. And a quick announcement, this weekend I'm having the Angel